Hello.
We are back with Deborah's stories with
Yes.
her Dogman encounters. Deborah, if you'd like to continue, we'd all love to hear what else you got going on.
Okay. Well, one night I'm looking outside and I'm looking across the street, and I can the moon was really bright that night, and if you're out in an area with no street lights, the moon can actually look like the lights are on. But this night it was that bright out there. You could see everything as long as it was out of the wood line. But right into the wood line of the lake, I could make out about 8 different dark shapes that were pretty good size. And all I catch is the back end of what looked like a gigantic dog, but it was a big tail and everything. And as soon as it went down into the wood line, those other shapes moved away with it. So I'm wondering, do I have a bunch of dog men up here with a bunch? And I'll tell you why I think that. One night I walk outside, and I smell this like musty smell, dirt smell with a skunk, and the was all rolled into one, like and a wet dog smell. It was 3 different smells all rolled into one. Well, I thought, well, maybe they just come by here, and it kind of scared me. So I went inside, and I come back out on the porch a couple hours later with the lights on this time, and I hear 2 animals fighting down towards the cemetery, and it made chills go all over my body because it sounded like they were half gorilla and half hyena. Or, and this is down at the cemetery, could it have been a dog man fighting a Bigfoot?
That has been known to happen. I have heard many stories of dogmen fighting gorillas or Bigfoots.
Yeah, and after the fighting and the snarling and the snapping and everything quit, and I need to tell you, during all these times, everything is eerily quiet. Like, no bugs, no birds, no nothing. The only birds you hear is if you hear the Bigfoots making bird calls to communicate with each other or whistling. They whistle out here, too, a lot before something dies. And you don't hear anything out there when they're around, not one little pin drop. And it's so dark out there, if you don't have the moon, you can't see. So I'm missing a whole lot of what they're doing and how they're passing through, because if I'm not out there every night. These are just some of the things that I've gone through on the nights I went out there, or them screaming so loud, killing something, that I go outside to look. But it's that night when that hyena thing was going, you know how hyenas will cackle like, or something crazy? Well, that's what happened after I heard the snarling and the snapping and the, blowing and the growling stop. That's what it sounded like both parties had backed off, and this thing was cackling like a hyena. I ain't never heard anything like that before.
Well, I don't know about hyena cackling, but I do know dogmen have been known to communicate yelping with each other, and that may have been a form of communication.
Yeah, and you know what you made me think of is the nights it's real eerie. A lot of times it'll be accompanied by a pack, sound like a pack of coyotes.
Yes, it has been proven they run with coyotes.
Yeah, well, they're all over the place out here, but it's only certain times that you can hear those things, and I've usually got another characteristic of the encounter at the same time. It's always real quiet. That's how I know for sure that they're out there. So if I hear the bugs go dead, we're out by the lake, and we got birds I ain't never seen since I was a kid. I mean, I used to go hunting, too, so I know the birds and all. And I've never heard anything like what goes on out here. I mean, if it goes quiet like that, I run and I jump and make sure all the doors are locked and make sure that window in there, the screen door's still down, window's down, but they could push that through. So
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one of those crank outs, and if I don't never crank it all the way open because I heard that Dogman story about that one coming through that guy's doggy door, and it had to have been a small one because I don't think he could have fit through his doggy door. He said he couldn't get its lower shoulders through. It would have been in the house.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. I'm glad I don't have a dog door.
Well, one night I felt like prey out here, and it scared me to death. This was another night. I walked out on the porch, and I smelled that smell again. And I sat down there, and I thought, I'm going to sit down here and see if I can hear anything. And I hear something go to my husband's truck, and he was not here that night. That's what's scary. It's like they're watching the house. They act up more when he's gone. I mean, it's a proven fact. They told me they watched the house.
Oh, well, it's a proven fact that they like to target what they
women
consider weak. And weak would
children.
be women, children, elderly people alone.
Well, I've got disability. I've got severe chronic back disease, and I don't get around too good.
So they would consider you a weak target, which, not saying you're weak, but compared to them, most of us are weak.
Yeah, that's right. And, this is what happened. All of a sudden, I hear something picking up these big car parts in the back of my husband's truck. He's a mechanic, and these things were 300 and 400-pound transmissions. And I knew good and well there wasn't no kid down there, not even a man trying to steal them things. But they would pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it, and then kind of shuffle it around a little bit, and all that going on. So I got up and I walked down to right over the ramp, I call it my drawbridge. I walked over that and halfway down that one side over there, and I'm not off the ramp, though. I won't go off that ramp because there's a fence around it. I hear something take off across the front yard, and I mean, boom, 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 boom. And it hit that line before I could see anything, that wood line down there. And I thought, what in the world? And I got in my head after that it had to have been a juvenile Sasquatch, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I started, as soon as I got to the end of that ramp, girl, I could hear motion over in the wood line beside me and behind me. And the wood line behind me is only about 40 to 50 feet to the woods off that deck. And I went, oh, I got that weird feelings. And I walked back up that thing, and I went straight in the house and locked everything up. I said, they was trying to draw me off of that darn drawbridge there.
Oh, yeah, they were. That's exactly what it sounds like.
And the next day, I thought, I'm going to go out here. It had been raining really bad. And I went out here, and I found on the hill back there, before you go in the wood, I found 4, looked like bare feet. But see, this was the night it was like 15 degrees, and it was worse because of the lake. So I know nobody was back there. And I found those prints back there, and then I found some down by the truck. And I said, there you go, right there. Well, I wanted to get my camera and do it because it was at my daughter's, and then my other ones broke down, so I was going to have to wait for somebody to help me with the pictures. It poured down before we could get to it. I think it was into December or January when it was raining so much over here. I think we got like 10 inches in 3 days. So they were washed away too bad, and I thought I'll just have to do it again when it gets real wet. I'll go out there, and I know there are going to be more prints. I guarantee you there's going to be more. But see, there's no way anybody behind me could be a kid playing pranks or anything, because that hill is covered in so much honeysuckle that it'll knock you out when you smell it coming out the door. It's about 2 acres worth of honeysuckle all the way down the other side of the hill. And then there's blackberry bushes and briars and all that, and there's all kinds of other plants, plus, cedar trees and shrubs and hedges and everything else.
Yeah, I doubt there's any children running around down there.
There's no way they were walking through there barefooted and down that thing when it was only, 10 to 20 degrees. There's just no way. And do you want me to go ahead with the one that night where they charged me, or do we want to hold that for the next one? I got one more story about them mock charging me down that hill back there.
Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and end this one, and we'll start off with part 3. So, everyone, let's tune in to next week's edition portion of part 3 of Deborah's story. Well, Deborah, I appreciate you being on the show tonight, and we'll be glad to have you back.
I loved it.
So,
yeah, I can come back anytime. I'm sure this is a fluid situation out here.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for being on the show.
Okay. Well, I really loved it.
Thank
We'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.